Hello and welcome to Curiosity's Sake. It's that time of year that people get religious, whether it's Christmas or Diwali or SpongeBob Day. Religion is definitely a big part of this time of year, and over the past few months, I have been wondering a very simple question. What does religion offer to the world of video games? Okay, now we've all seen Bible Adventures and other NES classics, but what about other religions? What about Islam, Hinduism and Sikhism? I decided that someone, namely myself, had to investigate this, and so I set out on an adventure like none other. I scoured the internet to find 4 games representative of our planet's biggest and most popular religions, to see which religion made the best video game. Hinduism is our final stop, and I honestly think we might have saved the best for last. I mean, I actually love Hinduism as a religion. I spent 2 weeks in India a few years back and visited the temple of Krishna, and it's the greatest temple visit I've ever done. It's the only temple visit, mind you, but it's better than any church I've ever been to or anything like that. The best way that I could describe Hinduism is it's like someone's worshipped a bunch of DC comic heroes. Some of the stories feel like ancient Superman stories, like Krishna ripping a mountain out of the floor and bouncing it on his pinky finger, mainly to say fuck you to a dying thunder god. Also, to save the village on the top of the mountain from the flood that the god of thunder tried to unleash on them. It's because of this that many target the religion as a free ideas bucket, like they would Norse mythology or Greek mythology. As established, I could do some of the more obvious candidates like Smite or Overwatch, but they have been denounced for their betrayal of Hindu gods, cheapening them down to mere player models. And in all honesty, I can kinda see why people feel this way. I can imagine it being somewhat offensive that the gods that you worship are shown in this light. Other religions like Christianity and Islam, especially with its no depicting Muhammad laws, they're protected, but for some reason you can shit all over Hinduism. That's perfectly fine. This is one of the 3 games that I was able to find that was based around the culture, and to my knowledge, nobody of the faith has said that this is bad or wrong. Unrest is a game that's set in India based on ancient Hindi lore, in which there is a political unrest as a bunch of Naga, who are more or less snake people, want to move into the city of Burma and settle there. Burma itself has fallen on hard times due to a drought, and so they're having to broker a trade treaty with the Naga Empire in order to stay fed and watered. The game has a number of different protagonists on various sides of this civil conflict. The ones that come to mind are the Naga royalty, a princess who I believe is inspired by Anastasia, a priest, a peasant, and other characters who I feel would give away too much about the plot if I told you about them. I have to point out that this isn't what most would traditionally call a game. It's kind of lacking in the gameplay department. I'd say it's equatable to Telltale's Walking Dead and Batman and games like that. Like, it's not like Karma, which clearly put the gameplay first. It's all about the story with this one. It's not a point-and-click adventure game, and I'd say that it's really an overglorified visual novel more than anything. I personally feel that this is fine for the most part. However, it's not very obvious that that's what it is from the start. I don't really consider this to be a bad thing, as the game's strength is clearly its writing. It's good at making every character seem pretty reasonable once you've been exposed to them. If I compared it to the Game of Thrones Telltale games, all the characters are more or less on the same side. You always keep trying to work towards a greater good, but here you end up controlling both sides of the conflict. And nobody really is a complete bastard. Everyone just has their own idea of what makes a good world. This means that you can more or less sabotage a side if you don't agree with it, by having them make stupid decisions. But at the same time, you are kind of required to look after the people under the command of the character that you've been handed. And it has a good way of balancing it out, so that nobody looks cartoonishly evil, or pure, or right. It's also up to the player how some